it is for them or challenging, this is really what we want them to be working on. Okay, so here is what you can do at home if your kiddo's having a hard time with that. They're really relying on these fingers, or they're going like this, or we call these treasures. Right now it's just a dice. At your house or at school, sometimes it's one of those little erasers. Your house, you could start with a penny, okay? And you are going to have them hold the treasure in their hand with these 3 fingers, okay? And then that forces them to have to use these 3 fingers to hold that treasure in. And you're going to ask them to write their name. They're still able to kind of use this finger a little bit, and that's okay. You're just getting this really strengthened up. But then you want them to write their name holding the treasure. If they can get through their whole name or whatever it is you want them to do and they don't drop that, then they get to keep the penny or the whatever it is. And maybe the next time is, or every 5 times, it's a nickel or a dime or sticker. They really love stickers. Okay. And I think that that's what we were doing. Sorry, I have to take a drink. These are authentic morning meetings. This is what it would be like. So what I decided to do is to just push record and to run it almost the same as I would with the kids, only just trying to explain as I go. And again, as I start explaining things, these ones are longer, but once I've explained it, I won't have to go over it again. But okay, so I've got my pencil or whatever you want to use. This is what I was talking about, but this is going to be with that opposite hand that they use. And you're going to want to, you can either have them hold the pencil and the pipe cleaner and pinch, okay, like that. Or you can have them sort of try to make a beginning by wrapping it around a couple times or getting it started for them if they're having a really hard time. So that kind of anchored it in. If this is easy for them, don't do that. Have them just pinch it. If they're having a hard time, anchor it on for them. So then they're going to work on holding it like this, and then they're going to work on holding it at the end. A lot of them were really, this is so good for them, okay? You're going to grab the other end of the pipe cleaner, okay? And you're going to have them swing it towards themselves. This stays right here, and they're going to go up and over and kind of pulling. And then they're going to swing it towards themselves and up and over. What you're trying to emphasize is that their hands need to get out of their own way, okay? When we were making our truffula trees, it was an eye-opener to me that it's something that seems so easy for us, but it actually takes so much coordination. So, and as they get faster, they can go like this, okay? And then they put the brake on, and then when they're done, they take it off. So that's that activity. And the rainbow math, this is the worksheet that came for today. Here are the numbers 1 through 10, and we encourage these to be, again, nice and colorful. So maybe take the red and let them walk around the house, or give them a book, or wherever you think they might be able to find the pantry, in the fridge. And then as they find the number, they show it to you, or however that works, and then they color that number till they find all the numbers. All right, and lastly, we're going to read this book. And I know I love the Bernstein Bear books. I love them so much. I had them when I was a kid. I know some of you are maybe saying Bernstein Bears. I've heard it both ways. I'm just going to go with Bernstein Bears. You can see how loved this book is. But that's the best part, friends, is that no matter what, it's still a great book. The reason I picked this is that maybe at your house, this is kind of starting to be a problem. So let's see what happens. I'm going to first read the title of the book. We're going to kind of breeze through the book lesson, or talking about kind of the parts of the book, because I realize this has gone on kind of long. Sorry. So this says the Bernstein. So some people say, but Bernstein Bears, Bernstein, Miss Fire is just going to say the Bernstein Bears for now, like I said. So Stan and Jan Bernstein, they probably know how to pronounce it. Stan and Jan, I'm guessing that they maybe are married. I suppose they could be brother and sister, but they have the same last name. Like my last name is Fireisen, and my boys' names are Tanner and Parker and Cole Fireisen. So we're going to read this book, and I hope that maybe there's a lesson or two, or at the very least that when you look at it or you hear this story, you think to yourself, gosh, that's happening at my house too. I'm not alone. So this isn't just me that's having a hard time with this. All right, the Bernstein Bears. Wow, look at this book. It is in rough shape, but that just means it's pretty well loved. I've held on to it for a long time. All right, get in a fight. And on each of these books, there's always just a little poem right there to kind of tell you about what might happen in the book. And it says, when two small bears don't get along, the grown-ups worry what went wrong. If you guys like this book after we read it, almost always if you go to YouTube and you type this in the title, there's usually about an 11 or 12 minute episode from back in the day, animated, and the kids really like that too. All right. Most mornings in bear country, the sun rose to greet the day, and mockingbird sang its copycat songs outside an upstairs window at the bear's treehouse. And inside the treehouse, brother bear and sister bear would wake up. So this is what I was talking about. You're listening to my words, and I bet you just naturally, first you probably looked at the whole page, and then when I talked about what they were doing, brother bear and sister bear, you probably went right to that. So you're reading what's going on. And this is kind of a cool thing about this book, is they're able to talk about a lot of different things that are happening by putting little bubbles and then just explaining what each one is. That's a way to really tell a lot of a story in just a couple pages. So this one says, brother and sister usually get along very well. They take turns nicely in the bathroom. They said please and thank you at breakfast. Brother and sister didn't say please and thank you that morning at breakfast. Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm going to keep going. Sorry. So usually they do that. Brother and sister bear didn't say please and thank you that morning at breakfast because they weren't speaking to each other. And they didn't sit together on the school bus. Sister sat in the front and brother sat in the way back. They don't look very happy. Here they look happy. That's what I kind of didn't read it the right way. I had my tone was a little off, but they're explaining that usually that's what it's like. That's a big difference over here. That afternoon, they made a line down the middle of their backyard treehouse to show which half was whose. It wasn't much fun sitting up there in their treehouse, not speaking. I know I've made that face before, especially when it began to rain hard. Later, they kept being mean by taking back the things that they usually shared. Sister took back her molding clay, that would be like Play-Doh, which brother had made into dinosaurs and rolled it up into one big lump. So what they said is usually they share those things, and it looks like, my goodness, I bet you he had to put a lot of work in if you can see the details on those dinosaurs, and now they're just in a big ball. And I'm wondering if she needed to do that or if she just was kind of angry at him, so she decided to do that to kind of hurt him. Brother Bear took back his trucks and planes and put them on the top shelf where she couldn't reach them. Again, I'm wondering why he had to do that if it's something that they usually shared. They often sat together on the school bus, and after school they worked together happily on their project, their backyard treehouse. But one gray morning, brother and sister didn't get along well at all. Maybe it was the weather. Maybe it was